Models, the ultimate hobby. This is the building of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to create a beautiful centerpiece, to seek out new builders and young model makers, to boldly go where no model has gone before.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Model Frontier. If you're new to this channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a second of my great content. So last shipment, we did a lot of wire management, a whole ton of it, in fact. And as tedious as that was, it did accomplish one good thing. We've managed to get all those loose deck plates we've been building for the last several issues onto our saucer frame, so they're no longer loose, they're secured, they're not floating around, so now wherever you're storing your model, you have a lot less to worry about. This next shipment, we're going to be doing, of course, a few more deck plates, but we're also going to be adding some supports to the to the cobra neck of our ship. And that's also going to help us neaten up the wires there too. But before we do, I wanted to show you something that shows you just how far we've come on the saucer section, but also shows you how far we have left to go. Okay, so after last time, I decided to just see what it would look like to put the bridge section on, because I knew that's where this was going to go. So here you can see how it's going to look with the bridge on it. Looks pretty interesting, but I wanted to do something a little more in depth to show you, so you guys get an idea of what this thing's going to be like. Now, with your first shipment, you get this. It's a poster showing the actual size of this ship as it gets done. It's a pretty big poster. I'll show it off towards the end of the video so you can see it, firsthand. But this is basically as big as the ship is going to get. So what I thought would be really interesting to do is we could see how the ship's coming along and what's going to happen if we do this. If we lay this here, we can see how that's looking. See that right there? That's looking like that. And then if we flip it over, we can look at the other side. And boom. So you see how far we've got left to go, but it's starting to all come together and look really great. That's just something I wanted to share with you all. I'm going to take the bridge off because I haven't been told to put it on yet, so it's got to come off. And then we'll get to work on this next part of the model. So after seeing that, it really gets me pumped up for this next section. Seeing everything come together like this makes all the tedious work we've been doing and putting in these windows, it makes it all worth it. So without further ado, let's get to work on our model. Engage. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in this part is we're going to make our battery pack function again. Now, if you remember last time, we had to take the front off of this, the door off of this, to kind of put on our neck piece so that, our battle bridge section here, so that it would be covered and lit up. So, this issue, they give us another one because how else are we going to test if the lights are working or not? So we got another cover and another screw. So really nothing to this. We're going to just get our screw out. We're going to go ahead and... Now, Again, just like before, you want to bend this in a bit so it makes contact with this metal piece in here. Put in your batteries. On your back panel. Be a little tight. You just gotta get them in. Gotta get those these two things in here. Once you got it all in there, just screw it in. There you go. So now that that's on there, we can hook it right back up to our circuit board again. And now we have a way to test our lights. So I'm going to put this off to the side because we are going to get some lights to test in this part. But now let's get the next part of this project going. So this next part has us working on yet another deck plate. We got 9 lifeboat covers and 3 dark windows to put in, all right in the front here. No reflective backing part. Obviously, we know what's going to happen once we get these all in, so I'm going to get them in, and then I'll come back when they're all done, and we'll continue. Okay, so now we've got all our windows and life pods in place, and you can see I've already put my light bleed fix down. One good thing about doing this, especially on pieces like this where there is no backing securing these in, is now you can kind of, like with this one specifically, since there's no light windows, there's no clear windows, you can kind of move this around, have it where you want to get it. And that's very important because our next step, as I'm sure you can guess, is we're going to attach this to our saucer stuff. For that we need 5 BM and 4 EM screws. And of course we're going to need our saucer section. Okay, so what they kind of have you do, if you're not doing this light bleed fix, is you just got to kind of carefully lay this down on here. Get it where it's going to go. I think it's on this part here. Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to get that there. And then they want you to secure it down with a single BM screw in this upper middle section right here. Now the reason they only want you to use one screw is because the next step is going to require us to take 2 of these loose bulbs from a prior step. We gotta find them both here. Okay. We have our 2 loose bulbs here, and we're going to put them into these. So that's why they want you to be loose with it, because you're just going to kind of slide it under there, that one there, and then we're going to secure this down. These 4 holes right here we're going to secure with the EM screws. Hold these lights in place. Now if the lights are secured down, we're going to secure the rest of this down with BM screws. I know I said 5, you need 5 total earlier. You actually need 6. You just needed the 1 for this one. So now we're going to just secure this in. Alright, and there we go. Another deck plate on the ship. Starting to really fill out nicely. It does say to test the lights. You can do that if you want to. You don't have to, but if you wanted to do it, go right ahead. But you should have already tested the lights beforehand. That's the easiest time to do so. So, that is it for stage 23. Let's go on to stage 24. Okay, so for the next part of our build, we're going to start building up the frame of the cobra neck. 'Cause obviously there's going to be side panels to this thing that are going to both hide the wires and attach to the frame. So it looks like we're working on this side. We're going to put this first part on. And one of the key things to make sure of is that we get all the wires kind of on this part of it. We want all these wires to be on the inside part. Like that. And then we're securing it with 3 BM screws and 1 FM screw. Now the BM screws are going to be for these 3 holes here, and then there's a single part back here, and that's where we put the FM screw. There we go. First part of the frame of the cobra neck is on. You may assume that the next part would require us to do the other side. Well, not yet. We got another deck plate to do, so I'm going to get all the parts for that and join you right back here. So the next stage is going to obviously involve us doing another deck panel with some lighting. So I'm going to test out our lights, make sure they work. I've just been finding it easier to test them when they're out of the thing than inside. You can do it either way. So first light, yep, we got a single bulb there, so that one's good. And we got a 2 bulb set here. Plug in, and is also good. So those work. And again, I always recommend us doing that because of, you know, if it is broken, you want to be able to get it replaced as soon as possible. Now, of course, the first thing we gotta do is put on our light, our windows, and our escape pods. We got 8 pods. Yeah, we got 8 escape pods, and then 4 dark windows and 8 clear windows. So as always, I'm going to put those on, and then I'll come back after I get it all on and taped up, and then we'll continue on with the next step. Now that all that's done, all the windows are in, now it's time to actually lock them onto the piece. For this section, got a little bit of this screw hole block. So for this section, we're going to use the double light, this reflector, and 4 EM screws. We're just putting in one side here. So as always, it's easier to get it where it's got to go. And then they want you to use the black and yellow wire, so that's the one we're going to do. We're going to put it in there and then secure it down with the EM screws. That's in nice and tight. We need 4 more EM screws. We need our other strand of lights and our next reflector panel. Now, this string is going to go in on this part, and then your single light is going to go in over here. So then this up 90 degrees, because that does make it a little easier to do. Now this one, we're going to do one side at a time here. Easier to pre-bend that one. Oops, one of my windows popped out. Make sure you get your windows to stay in there. That's in. I'm going to screw down. We're only going to do this side though to secure that one light. got that light secured. Put this single bulb in right here. And now we'll secure that one down. Alright, so that cracked a little bit. See what went wrong. Alright, so there we go. I mean, I did crack it a little bit here, but you know what? When you flip it over, never going to be able to tell the difference. And it should still look fine. Let's just see how it looks lit up to make sure. See, just perfect. Looks just fine. Can't even tell. So I'm good with that. And there's no bleed through, so that's always a good thing. Now I'm sure you know what comes next. Time to put it onto the saucer section. So let's get it done. Now it's gonna go right into this section here. You've got 3 of these and you got 3 dips there, so you kind of gotta feed the wires on through. It says you want to feed this one through into here. And this one, it wants you to feed through here. Of course, bend them down to make it easier. Get these to go to dip in. Remember, it's got to clip into these divots or it's not going to fit right. Flip it over and get these to go right. Okay, so what we went ahead and did there is, as you see, I actually just kind of made it so that the wire went where I wanted it to go around here, because it's really tricky to do. Sometimes you gotta spread this out and move them around. If you do that, be very careful that you don't mess up where the windows are, because you don't want to do that. Now let's get this one in the right position so that it's not getting crushed by anything. Last thing you want to do is have any wires be pinched. So you want to kind of see where the wires are going. Even if the instructions tell you how to do it otherwise, use your best judgment. You know, sometimes what the instructions say may not always be the best, the best. There we go. Now let's get this piece in. Alright, now we got that in there. Let's secure it in. We use, looks like 2 BM screws. Now, full disclosure on this part, for some reason I had a very trying time getting this panel to go down. For some reason, even though I was putting it in the right place, it didn't want to actually go down when you were pushing it into the position. Even screwing it down didn't work. I ended up having to sand down the tabs a bit to get it to fit in there. One reason, if yours is doing this, one reason I've been told that it could be doing this is you may have a wire pinched in the frame somewhere, or your frame may be just bent a little bit. It can be frustrating, especially when you keep checking again and again and you don't see any reason why it's doing this. But with time and patience, eventually you are going to get it.
So after a lot of work and toil, this part is now on there. You can see it's not as smooth as it should be, but we'll try to fix that later on. And now we're done with stage 24. So next is stage 25. We're going to go back to the neck and we're going to do another panel. Okay, so now we're starting on stage 25 with another deck plate.
It's surprising how many of these windows you got to put into such a small piece. We got 30 escape pod hatches, 10 dark windows, and 20 clear windows. So we're putting in a total of 30 windows into this piece. So once again, as always, I'll go put them in, come back, and we'll continue when it's all done. Okay, so now that all the windows are in, it's time to put a reflector panel on and lights. So we're only doing one light, so let's first test it, make sure it's working. There be light. We're going to put the yellow and white one, they want you to put into this, and they want you to leave this one kind of loose. So take a look at what we're working at. Always the part that makes me the most nervous is getting these panels in. Alright, now we secure it with 3 BP screws. Let's make sure all the windows stayed in. They did. Pods are in. So now, as always, we don't have any loose panels anymore. It's time to put this onto our saucer section. Okay, so we're going to be putting this piece on here. It's going to go on the front right area. Bend this a little bit. Make it easier. That's going to go under this. We're going to flip it over and we secure it with 2 DP screws. Perfect. And we've got another section of the hull done. Looking pretty good now. Next, we're going to do a little more work on our cobra neck, so let's go and get that piece. Okay, so as you might have guessed, this part we are going to put on the other side of our frame like we did before. However, there is one important thing you need to note. I got it here. You've got one loose light bulb here. It has a very specific spot that it needs to go into. Get it into this. There's a groove right here for this light to go into. It just kind of sits in there. It doesn't stick beyond it. Gather all these wires, put into place. Now after a little moving and shaking and messing around, you should have all your wires coming out through this groove here. Your light bulb for this part should be in place. Just make sure we got it in there. Now we can secure it down with 3 BM screws and 1 FM screw just like before. see the one light is right there. So we got everything good. And all those wires are in place. And we got a frame on our Cobra neck. So that ends stage 25. We'll come right back and do stage 26. Alright, so stage 26 is quite simple. It's just a single deck plate we're going to put together. We got another 30 windows to put in, 14 dark windows, and 16 clear windows. So as always, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to go put them in, come back, and we'll continue on once that's all said and done. Okay, so now as you might guess, now that the windows are in and I did all my taping of it, now it's time to put the light in. First off, let's just make sure the lights work. Both lights working, so we're good to go. So we're going to put it in place with 3 BP screws, and only 1 bulb will go in again. This time they want you to use the red one, the red bulb, and just like before, it's going to kind of go in this side, so just fit it in there. Or I always kind of hold my breath on. Right. That's in. We'll secure it down with BP screws. Alright, now let's make sure all our windows are still in. Perfect. As always, we don't have any loose panels anymore, so let's get our saucer section back. Okay, so we're gonna put this on. We're gonna actually put this is the farthest on the starboard side, I guess they're calling it. It's gonna go right here. So you see we're almost a quarter of the way around. We're actually probably a little more than a quarter of the way. Yeah, because like this would be the halfway point there. This would be the halfway point there. So yeah, we're getting about more than a quarter of the very front of this ship done. As always, we gotta feed the wires through. They want you to do this wire going through here. The rest of it kind of going in here. You gotta go 2 directions with this one. It over. They want you to partially secure this down with a DP screw. Show you to do it on this side. Just partially. You don't want it all the way in. So go tight on this. Loose. Because now they want you to take the unused bulb here, kind of put it into here. And it's in there. So you gotta kind of maneuver it a little bit to get it in, but you can do it. You're gonna bend it 90 degrees. So one thing they don't tell you in the books, but you'll see, there's like a little groove. Let me see if I can zoom it in to show you. Right here, there's a little notch where you're going to want this wire to go. That's where they're telling you to put it. Suppose that's supposed to help with management, but... And now we just secure this panel down with another DP screw. There we go. And there you go. Now you got more panels on your Enterprise. You've got more of the saucer section looking done. That is it for this shipment. So, whew, got a got quite a bit accomplished, even though it doesn't seem like much. I mean, realistically, it's just it seems like we did a lot of, it seems like we only did, let's see, we did 1, 2, 3, 4 panels and a little work on the cobra neck. So even though it doesn't seem like much, it looks great, and it looks like a lot of work is getting done and a lot more still to go, obviously. But we're getting there. It's actually starting to look like the Enterprise. Now, as I mentioned earlier, let me show you the full poster that shows you just how big this ship's gonna be when it's all said and done. So now you can see exactly what we're getting at here. Now, to put it in perspective for you guys, I'm about 5 foot 8 inches tall myself, so you can see just how big this thing's gonna be when it's all done. It's gonna be huge. Now, I know you probably stared at this when you got your model, and you know what? Sometimes it's good to go back and take a look at what the finished product's gonna look like, just because it keeps you going to know that eventually it's all gonna look this beautiful and this amazing. It's what you need to do sometimes to get through those highly frustrating parts. So that'll be it for this shipment. Tune in next time for probably more saucer panels and more work on the neck, since that seems to be what we're focusing on at the moment. I don't know why they had us do this so early on in the build, considering we haven't even gotten any of the bottom hull of the ship done yet, but I'm sure eventually we have to get there. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure and check out all my great content on my channel, and I'll see you next time on the Model Frontier.